Don't worry, it's gonna happen. Hey, sorry. All right, hold on. Yay! Converted man here. Had to make sure that I scared the bleep out of you. All right. Evidence for God's creation that even skeptics can't ignore. Eternity answer. Atheism debunked by the right Reverend Rich. Here we go, man. I'm excited.
You, the skeptic,
Yes. What do you want? Hi, I'm the skeptic. Yes.
talking to you.
Me? You're talking to me? Oh, I got to put on my webcam then. This is serious. Hold on. Hold on. I apologize. I was not ready for this serious level. Let me get my webcam set up then. I wasn't ready for you to talk directly to me, the skeptic. I'm going to start from scratch because that will be, well, I don't know. Let's see. Start can't. No, that's the alien thing. There it is. Okay. Get in there, you stupid. Such a pain in the butt that it doesn't. No. Oh, okay. I've got. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm. It's meta. It's me, and it's me. It's so much me going on. Okay. No. Turn it off. Okay. That's too much me. Okay, let's blur it. That'll be good. Okay. So yes. Okay. Me. Yes. Me. What about me? Oh, wait. No. There we go. No. Yeah. Okay.
I was a skeptic. I believed everything I was taught about science.
You were a skeptic. Okay. But you believed everything you were taught. Doesn't sound like you were a very good skeptic then.
And secular education. Skeptic. I believed everything I was taught about science and secular education.
And secular education. Not sure what the bleep secular education is. Why am I so bright? What's up with that? I don't know. Must be the settings. Oh well, whatever. I don't know.
And you're the guy that I'm talking to who thinks that the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales.
I mean, kind of. I suppose it depends what you mean. Like certain things in the Bible, certainly, I wouldn't say fairy tales. I would say mythology. Genesis mythology, Exodus, but not everything is mythology. There's some stories that could have happened because they don't contain miraculous elements in them. They're pretty boring stories usually. I think the Book of Ruth doesn't really have any miraculous stuff, if I remember right. But yeah, no, not all of it would be mythology, and I don't know that I'd call it fairy tales. So you're wrong already about myself, but okay. Hold on. I lost my thing there. Sorry. There we go.
That I'm talking to who thinks that the Bible is a bunch of fairy tales. Well, let me explain something to you. What you're learning in schools, or what is being taught there in schools, are fairy tales. Let me set an example for you.
What you learn in school is the fairy tales. 1 plus 1 is a fairy tale. 1 plus 1 equals 2. I learned that in school. I learned to crawl down during a fire. Is that a fairy tale? I learned to tie my shoes at school. Is that a fairy tale? I learned drama. Is that a fairy tale? I learned psychology. Is that a fairy tale? I learned science, history. It's a lot of things I learned that I don't think you could really say are fairy tales.
I'm going to paint a word picture. Pretend you got an artist and he makes a masterpiece. Does he?
Okay, an artist and a masterpiece. Okay. Not sure how this goes to showing that school was fairy tales, but do go on.
Not sign it at the bottom with his own signature? Well, the answer is an obvious yes. He's not going to just put it out there and
Some artists choose to remain anonymous for a variety of reasons. Some artists have pen names that they sign instead. Not sure what this has to do with anything.
and have someone else get the credit for it. And another thing, I'm painting another word picture. You're playing charades. You're trying to get the person to say the word that with just hand gestures and just motions. Sounds like blah 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 blah. And then you go through all these gyrations and you get the person to understand that, to get them to say the word. Okay. All right. Let me tell you something. There is a God, and whether you believe in him or not, it really doesn't matter because he exists.
Okay, but what happened to that claim that you made about the schools teaching fairy tales? Where was the support for that idea? You said you were a skeptic. Now you're not. You said something is true, but then having had been a skeptic, I would think that you would know how to demonstrate something to be true. So either you weren't really a skeptic, or you're just saying that because it sounds good. You doubted things, or whatever. But what? So school is somehow incorrect, but you haven't proven that. And then there's a God, whether you believe in it or not. Well, I would say whatever is true, whatever is really real, is real, whether we know about it or not. Objective reality is a real thing. But you would have to demonstrate that there is a God. So, can you do that?
And you're in for a rude awakening if you don't believe that. So that's why I'm trying.
Uh-oh. Rude awakening? Why? That seems like a threat. A threat is an ad ballum, an appeal to force. It's an appeal to the cudgel or the stick. And only an illogical being like humans would use an ad ballum in order to get somebody to perform an action or hold a belief. So, unless the being that you're proposing is an illogical being, why would I agree that not thinking that it's true would have some sort of consequence for myself? If it is indeed an illogical being because it's using an ad ballum, then I can't trust it. So I have no choice but to distrust it. In which case, anything goes, right? So you're proposing a God that's illogical? Or what is it you're proposing? And you haven't demonstrated it yet either, because an appeal to fear or an appeal to consequence is, both of those are logical fallacies, and neither of them prove your point. So I don't think you were ever really a skeptic, in the sort of sense that I'm a skeptic. So keep going though.
Trying to get you over to this side to start considering some other facts.
This side, what side? What are you talking about? What facts?
First of all, God says in his word.
Okay, so what God? You haven't proven a God yet. And then it says in its word, you haven't proven that it has a word. So those are two things you have not yet proven.
And you don't have to believe his word, but I'm just telling you what he says.
Well, you're telling me what you think a God has said in some word that you think God has produced. You haven't demonstrated that there's a God, or that this is the thing that he wrote or inspired or whatever. So why should I care what you're about to read? Whatever it is you're about to utter, I don't care, because you haven't proven it to be anything. So
here's what he says.
Well, you would need to prove that, and you haven't done that. So I really don't care. But I'm going to play it anyways. So.
The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. That's how the artist signs his masterpiece. When we look out into the night sky.
Come on. Please say, look at the trees. Come on, do it. Do it for Deconverted Man. Deconverted Man wants you to say, look at the trees. Say, look at the trees. I dare you.
And of course, science does talk about facts, but doesn't science only explore what it is that's already there?
Science explore what's already there. What? Yeah. So then that would make science not a fairy tale, contrary to what you said earlier when you said that school teaches fairy tales.
The creation. And as we learn more and more, we're finding out that the universe is expanding, and it's so huge, it's like impossible for our finite minds to wrap our heads around it. But that's God's masterpiece you're looking at.
Prove it.
And his signature is that it's infinite.
So that's not a signature. Like a signature's, the word signature means a certain thing. So that the universe is infinite is not a signature in any way, shape, or form. It's just a fact of reality, if it's true. And it seems to be the case that space is infinite. At least, it can expand infinitely. But that doesn't suggest a signature or a God or anything. All it tells us is that the universe is infinite. What the bleep?
Because he's an infinite being.
Well, you'd have to demonstrate that it's an infinite being. I'm not sure what an infinite being is. Do you have any demonstration that it's an infinite being? And why would it be an infinite being? Just because it's an infinite being, if you showed that, which you haven't done, and an infinite universe, that wouldn't necessarily mean that the infinite being made the infinite universe. Those two things are still separate. You'd have to conjoin them and connect them and show that they're true, which you haven't done. So you said evidence. You haven't presented any evidence at all.
He's trying to get your attention. Let me tell you something. He's really trying to get your attention. He also said
he's trying to get my attention. That would be testable. There's many ways that this being that you're talking about, called God, could get my attention. A very simple experiment here. I've got a Pikachu. Yes, this is a stuffed Pikachu. And it would get my attention, God, for you to levitate Pikachu off of my hand into the air. Whoop. Nope, didn't. Let's make it easier. Do it off of my head. Oh, the camera blur wants to blur, so let's take off the blur maybe. Okay. So, yeah, Pikachu's still on my head. God, come on, get it off my head. Knock it off my head. That's easy. I mean, come on, I can do that. Come on. No, nothing. Come on, God. There it goes. Well, that was me, though. It wasn't God. So it doesn't seem like God is really trying to get my attention. Here's another one. Here's a creeper I've got from Minecraft. Lights up. It's kind of cool, Woo, So God could light that up. Didn't happen. So God's not really trying that hard to get my attention. So I just falsified your idea that God's really trying to get my attention.
as in his word. By the way, that last scripture was Psalms 19, verse 1.
I don't care.
I'm going to read one from Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
I don't care. You look, I could read to you what the lobsterist says, and you wouldn't care what it says. And the reason you wouldn't care what it says is because I haven't demonstrably demonstrated that the lobsterist is something that you should care about. But why should I care what the bleep the Bible says? You need to then prove that the Bible is true. And you haven't done that.
3 verse 11. He has also set eternity in the hearts of men, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from the beginning to end.
Huh? What does that mean? He set eternity in the hearts of men. You talking about the organ heart? Or are you talking about like a metaphorical heart? What are you talking about? What do you mean by eternity? What does that mean? How does that work? And what about women? Is it just men? Or does it mean men as in humankind? Why didn't it say that? I've got so many questions that you're not answering.
Right there, there's another little signature of God that
you would have to demonstrate that eternity is in the heart, whatever that means, whatever you mean by that, and you haven't done that. So it's not a signature. You're just asserting things to be true without demonstrating them to be true. Do you even know what the word evidence means?
you think about the dumb animals in the field. They don't know that tomorrow they're going to be led to the slaughter. We unfortunately know that there will become a day when we have to face eternity.
Well, I don't know if the animals know or don't know that they're going to go to the slaughter. It depends upon the animal that you're talking about. And certainly animals can suffer. If the animals saw the other animals dying over there, that might scare them. If they saw that and they recognized it, they say, hey, that cow just died when they went into that machine. I don't want to go into that machine. Seems like it'd be something you could actually test and demonstrably demonstrate, but whatever. Okay. But yeah, we're going to face eternity. What do you mean by that? Face what? What the bleep is eternity? What do you mean by that? What do you mean that I'm going to face that? I don't, how do you know that that's true? Where's your evidence for that?
And this is what this book is all about, by the way. Let me read one last thing.
I really don't care. Please give me the evidence.
Now that I've got your attention, and now I want to wake you up.
Well, I'm awake, so that doesn't really make sense. If I was asleep, then you wouldn't have my attention. Do you know what it means to be awake? I don't think you know what words are anymore.
And this is going to be it. Since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen.
Okay, that really doesn't make sense. Something invisible cannot be seen because it's invisible. If you could see it, then it's not invisible. Sounds like a contradiction in terms to me. So the invisible attributes can be seen. So they're not invisible. So might as well call them the visible attributes then. If they can be seen, then they're not invisible. What kind of madman wrote this?
Clearly seen. I mean, you look out there, I'm telling you, you're seeing it. You're seeing the reality of an infinite.
You're seeing the reality of the infinite. Man, he didn't say look at the tree. I'm so disappointed. Say look at the trees. Say it.
Of the infinite. Now, having been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so men are without excuse.
Huh? Excuse for what? What does that mean? What does any of this mean? And why should I care? You haven't demonstrated that any of this is true, not even a little. You haven't provided a single bit of evidence at all. Just pointless assertions that anyone can make.
Look, he set a bunch of physical laws into motion.
You need to prove that.
You're not going to defy gravity by jumping out a window and pretending you're Superman or Spider-Man or any other superhero you want to put a name on. You're going to fall to the ground because his laws are firm. Science confirms many, many, many laws of.
Yes, science confirms many laws of nature. So then when the Bible says that a law of nature is broken, then I have to think that that's not true. Either it's a law or it's not. And apparently God can willy-nilly suspend any law that it so desires, which then means I can't trust reality to remain constant. If God so wanted, it could make it that when I jump out the window, I fly in the air because God wanted me to do that. Now, I don't think God does want me to do that, but God could do that, right? There's nothing stopping God from doing that, but yet God doesn't do that. That would be interesting evidence of God's existence if you could say, hey, God, I would like to fly today, and then boom, you could fly. That would be pretty darn convincing evidence. But you don't have that. You don't seem to have anything.
Physics. But God is a righteous God, and he has moral laws as well.
You would need to prove that.
If you look around you and you take an honest look, even though you have this sympathy from inside saying, oh, I feel so sorry for this community that is suffered and gone through all this bias and discrimination and whatnot. Well, let me tell you something. There are moral laws in place, and if you break them, you're sure as going out a window and trying to oppose gravity, it'll lead to death if you don't obey his moral laws as well. That's it. That's all I'm going to give you for now. There'll be more. Thanks for tuning in.
But you die even if you follow those laws, right? So you still die either way. What the hell was that? No, really, what was that? What did I just watch? What the bleep? Where's the evidence? At no point did you give any evidence at all for anything. What? The bleep. Oh, see my video response. Wow. Just wow. I mean, okay, well, that was another nothing video. We're doing great. 2 out of 2 today of videos that don't prove God. Is there anything more? Let's see. No, it's just nothing. No, it's nothing else I want to deal with right now. All right, that's all for today. We didn't have any empirical evidence, repeatable test, or valid and sound argument even attempted to be offered in that video. So therefore, we have to be skeptical of his conclusions.